The hallway was too quiet, except for the whispering. I was halfway to the teacher's lounge, coffee mug in hand, when I caught it. Two girls pressed close together by the lockers. One's shoulders were hunched, the other shielding her with a backpack. Like she was hiding something. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but her voice sliced through the silence. Soft and careful, yet loaded. He says it's a game. But it hurts. Her friend's eyes widened. Her lips parted like she might scream or bolt. My stomach lurched. Instead, I took 2 steps closer, pretending to fuss with the strap on my bag. The first girl glanced around her, scanning for someone. Scanning for someone, not for me, I realized. For him. The way she flinched, like a guilty child caught with stolen candy, made my grip tighten on my mug. Girls, I said, keeping my tone even, is everything okay? They froze. Her friend stepped in front of her, almost too fast. The whisperer ducked her head. I was already replaying the words in my mind, the way her voice had quivered. Game, hurts, my pulse was thudding in my ears. Who's he? I asked. No answer. Just that heavy silence thick enough to choke on. The friend spoke first, words too quick. We were just... not to nothing. I cut in, sharper than I meant. If someone's hurting you, her friend looked me straight in the eye, but her voice cracked. I don't understand. The whisperer still hadn't looked up. Her knuckles were white around her phone, like it was a lifeline. I didn't think. I just acted. I pulled my phone from my pocket and dialed 911. The dispatcher's voice was calm, measured, almost surreal compared to the rush of my heartbeat. A 911, what's your emergency? I turned my back slightly to the girls, lowering my voice. I'm a teacher at Brookvale Middle. I overheard a student say someone's hurting her, calling it a game. Is the student safe right now? I glanced at them. The friend's jaw was set, her eyes glossy. The whisperer had inched closer to wall, like she might melt into it. I think so, but I'm not letting her out of my sight. Stay where you are. Officers are nearby. The walk to the office felt like a slow march through wet cement. Neither girl spoke. The friend kept a protective arm around the whisperer's shoulders, like she was both shielding her and keeping her from running. We passed Mrs. Keene, the art teacher, who gave me a confused smile. Everything okay? She asked. Fine, I lied, moving past before she could stop us. Halfway down the hall, the whisperer muttered something, so quiet I almost missed it. Her friend hissed. Don't. I stopped. What did you say? She froze, then without looking up. You'll make it worse. The words punched the air from my lungs. Make it worse. We reached the admin office just as the knock came. 2 officers stepped inside. One tall, broad-shouldered, the other shorter with a calm, steady gaze. The shorter one spoke. Which student? I pointed. The whisperer's face drained of color. The female officer crouched in front of her, voice gentle. Sweetheart, you're not in trouble. But I need to know. What game? The girl's eyes flicked toward me, then to her friend, then back. If I tell you, he'll be mad. That was all it took. The tall officer stepped outside, radioing in quick bursts. The principal, Mr. Hartley, swept in minutes later, tie slightly askew. What's going on? The officers filled him in. His jaw tightened. We'll handle this discreetly. Let's take this to my office. Inside, the questions started. Who's he? How long has it been happening? Where does it happen? Her answers were clipped, cautious. He's fast and strong, and when he tags me, it stings. But he says it's just part of the game. The principal's frown deepened. The officer took notes. I sat there, caught between wanting to hug her and wanting to find him. Her mother arrived, eyes wide with panic. She dropped to her knees beside her daughter. Baby, what is this about? Who's hurting you? The girl swallowed hard. It's... Mr. Collins. My stomach tightened. Always quiet, always alone in the evenings. The officers exchanged a glance and left immediately. Her mother's hand trembled against her daughter's cheek. Why didn't you tell me? The girl's lips quivered. A minute stretched. From the hall, I heard the muffled sound of the gym door opening. Then, voices. Footsteps. The officers returned, Mr. Collins between them. He wasn't cuffed, but his face was pale. "What is this?" he asked, looking straight at me. "What's going on?" "On." The female officer said, "We need to talk about the game you've been playing." His brow furrowed. "Oh." He let out a strange short laugh. "It's not." The tall officer gestured him out into the hallway. The principal leaned toward me, whispering, "You heard exactly what she said?" "Yes," I said, "word for word." He nodded slowly. "We need to be certain before this escalates." Through the window, I could see the officer speaking to Mr. Collins. He was gesturing toward the gym, his expression somewhere between frustrated and confused. The whisperer sat small in her chair, swinging her feet slightly. Her friend hadn't let go of her hand. The mother turned to me. "You think he's dangerous?" "I don't know," I admitted, "but I know she said it hurts." That's when the tall officer stepped back inside, his expression unreadable. "Miss Carter," he said to me, "would you mind coming with us to the gym for a moment?" My pulse quickened. In my mind, I was already imagining what we might find. Some hidden corner, some place where no one could see. I set my coffee down, stood, and followed them. The whisperer's eyes tracked me the whole way, as if she knew exactly what I was about to walk into. The gym doors groaned open, exhaling varnish and cold air. Overhead lights flicked on in slow waves until the floor gleamed like a lake. Mr. Collins stood near the sideline with the tall officer, hands clasped, face pale. A storage cage yawned open behind them. Cones, foam balls, a dry erase board leaning crooked against the bleachers. I scanned for the thing I'd dreaded, the hidden corner, the camera, the stain that meant a secret. Instead, I saw chalk rings and tape lanes, precise as a blueprint. On the board, blocky letters, Gauntlet, Lunch League Timekeeper, see reset cones after each round. Safety rule, no headshots. Someone had drawn a tiny crown at the bottom and scrawled HQ. 3 wins. The female officer nodded toward the board. "Your program?" Collins shook his head and then half nodded. "They organized it. I supervise. Better than chaos in the halls." "Where's the equipment kept?" she asked. "In there." He gestured to the cage. "I locked when I'm not around." The tall officer reached into a back shelf and pulled out something slick and dull. Not foam. Old school rubber, the kind that stings. He rolled it in his palm, eyebrow lifting. "These are banned." Collins flinched. "They were donated years back. I meant to toss. Must have rolled behind the tub, or someone put them back," the officer said. The silence between us stretched tight. I drifted to the chalk lines. 2 lanes down the center, cones marking a narrow corridor. It looked organized. But the crown bothered me. The initials did too. Those swaggering letters underlined twice. "Who's HQ?" I said. Collins shrugged. "They swap nicknames every week. I don't keep track." Mr. Hartley arrived then, tie unspooled, relief nowhere on his face. He took in the board, the rubber ball in the officer's hand, the open cage. His jaw set. "This is a liability nightmare." Collins's voice was small. "Our kids need somewhere to be. I stay. I watch. I keep it safe." "The safe?" Hartley's gaze landed on the rubber. "We're past safe." The female officer clicked her pen once. "Bright, sharp. We need the student to show us what she meant. Context matters." "Fine," Hartley said. Bring her." Back in the office, Maya sat hunched in the chair like she was trying to fold into herself. Her mother's hand rested on her shoulder, thumb rubbing small circles. Alina stood a step behind, chin up, eyes red. Maya didn't move. "You're not in trouble," I added. Her mother squeezed. "We're doing this together." We walked the hallway in a slow line. My shoes squeaked in the quiet. Alina moved beside me and whispered without looking up, "Please don't make it worse." "Help me not." A beat. Then I can't without. "It's not my story." Maya stopped 6 steps inside the gym. Her eyes jumped from the cones to the board to the bin like she was mapping a minefield. The female officer knelt so they were eye level. "Hey, can you show me where you stand when you play?" Maya pointed vaguely toward the far baseline. "And where does the person who tags you stand?" Maya's hand lifted, then dropped. "At different spots. Is Mr. Collins the one throwing?" I asked, keeping my voice soft. Maya's throat worked. "Sometimes he times rounds." The tall officer drifted nearer to the bin, rotating one of the foam balls in his hands. "When you said it hurts, do you mean this?" He tapped the rubber ball with his toe. Maya flinched at the sound more than the question. Alina's fingers crept to hers. A quick squeeze. A quick squeeze. The kind you give someone right before they jump. The female officer stood. "Let's set up one round. No one throws. Just positions. Okay?" We placed cones as the chalk showed. Maya walked the corridor with a stiffness that looked older than she was. She stood at one end, shoulders tight, gaze fixed on the far line like it might move if she stared hard enough. "Where would the others be?" I asked. She gestured to the sidelines. "There, and the person who tags you." She pointed to the center. "There, they move with you. Who is he?" The officer pressed, gentle. "Who says it's a game?" Maya's eyes flicked to Collins, then to her mom, then to me. The silence filled with the hum of lights and the faint rattle of the Juik. "Finally," she said so softly. "I almost didn't catch it." "Everyone says that." The words landed like a pebble dropped down a deep well. Didn't clang, didn't splash, just kept going. I stepped to the board again, drawn back to the crown. To the initials, the handwriting wasn't Collins's blocky print. It was rounder, younger. I'd seen curly hearts like that on late essays and bathroom passes. I'd seen that exact crown doodled in the margins of a poem, turned in 3rd period. The author had written her name across the top. Maya. I felt heat climb my neck. "H2, I said slowly. "How does that stand for?" Alina looked at the floor. Collins looked confused. Maya didn't look at all. "Amir," I said. Is that you?" Her chin lifted a fraction. "Just a joke." The tall officer's head tilted. "Q?" Her cheeks colored. "Hit. Queen." The room tilted. "You, throw them," I said. Not a question. She nodded once. A breath I didn't know I'd been saving left my chest in a rush that felt like anger and relief and something uglier, shame. I pictured shadows. Monster. A man. And here was a kid who whispered it hurts because you're hitting other kids. I finished, the realization clicking into place. Maya's eyes glassed. "I don't mean to. I mean, I do. But I didn't at first. I got good." People cheered. Alina called me the queen, and then it wasn't just a game anymore. And then Jamie cried, and I told Alina it hurts, and she said I should stop. And I tried. But then everyone kept saying it's just a game. Her voice broke hard on game. The word cracked in the air. Collins took a step forward, hands up. "And nobody should be crying, Maya. That's on me. I should have shut it down when throws got too hard." Hartley pinched the bridge of his nose, "And on me for not knowing this existed." The female officer exhaled slowly, jotting notes. The tall one set the rubber ball down as if diffusing it. My brain skidded from guilt to triage. "Okay, we had a misunderstanding, but also a real thing. A student leading a game that left another in tears. No exploitation, thank God. Still harm, still stakes. Who's Jamie?" The officer asked. Maya scrubbed her cheek with her sleeve. "The 7th grade. He plays clarinet. He's nice. A beat. He tripped and my throw. It hit his shoulder. Then he fell and the ball bounced and hit his face. And he said he was fine, but then he didn't come back this week." "Did you see the nurse?" I asked. "Yay? Don't know." Collins looked at Hartley. "We can check." Hartley pulled out his phone. As he dialed, a small storm of emotions brewed on Maya's face, shame and pride, and the lingering high of being cheered. Alina stood close enough that their shoulders touched. "Why didn't you tell an adult it got too intense?" I asked Alina quietly. Her laugh was all nerves. "And because she was good. Like freaky good. People finally looked at her for something that wasn't being quiet and smart. And because I liked it too. Maya pressed her lips together like she might throw up her own confession. I told her it hurts. I told you. She said to Elena, voice low, accusation and plea braided together. Elena's eyes shone. I know. I said we could slow down, remember? And you said if we slowed down, they'd stop coming. I should have gone to Miss Carter. I didn't. You tried, I said, my memory rewinding to the lockers. He says it's a game, but it hurts. I'd filled the blanks with nightmares. They've been trying to wrestle a smaller, messier truth. Hartley lowered his phone. A nurse's office, says Jamie, left early yesterday. Parents picked him up, his mouth slanted. They didn't bring him in today. Call the parents, the tall officer said. As Hartley handed his phone to the female officer to make the call, Collins crouched to the bin and took out one of the foam balls. They're safe what we use. No rubber. Never rubber. Never rubber. But if throws are hard enough, even foam stings. That's on me. I'm sorry. Maya managed a tight nod. Who brought the rubber back out? The tall officer asked, nudging the contraband ball with his shoe. No one answered. The gym clock ticked. Because, he added, if we find out a student was sneaking banned equipment into play, that's different than a janitor letting it happen. Maya swiped her nose. I didn't. I swear. Elena shook her head. We didn't. Ye then who? Hartley said. The question hung. A ringtone trilled. The female officer held up a hand and turned away to hear. Her posture shifted halfway through the call. Straightened spine, a small nod. She returned to us with a face the color of paper. Jamie's mom says he's okay. She started, and the room let out a collective breath. But he went home with a split lip 2 days ago. He told her it was from lunch play. Yesterday he felt nauseous after school. This morning he woke up with a headache. My stomach dropped again. Not a monster, but a must. Pain, consequences. Has he seen a doctor? I asked. She's taking him this afternoon. She said she wants to talk to the principal and the district, and potentially a lawyer. Hartley closed his eyes for 1 second longer than comfort allowed. Of course she does. Collins stared at the floor. There was a weird, quiet dignity to his shame. No whining, no excuses. Just a man who tried to give kids a space and forgot that spaces create rules, and rules create responsibility, and responsibility means you're the net when something falls. Okay, I said, unexpected steel in my voice. The two things can be true. I overreacted to what I heard because I assumed the worst, and a student was hurt because we didn't have structure where we needed it. Both need fixing. The tall officer folded his arms. First fix is easy. The program suspended. Helena made a sound like someone had stepped on her heart. But it's suspended, Hartley repeated softer, until we figure out how to do it safely. If we can do it at all. Maya's hand drifted toward the ball. She touched the crown with her fingertip, then wiped it off with the side of her sleeve like she could erase the last 2 weeks with one swipe. The dry ink smeared grey. I watched her, a knot forming, not of suspicion this time, but recognition. Being seen does something to a kid. You can't unknow it. Taking that away also hurts. Amir, I said, when you told Elena it hurts, did you mean you or them? She blinked at me, then at the floor. Both. Her voice was a thread. When I win, it feels good. Then I go home and think about Jamie's face. It feels bad. It feels bad. Mr. Collins said it's just a game. Elena said that too. But in my head it's not. He says it's a game. She says it's a game. They say, everyone says, not a predator in the dark. A chorus in daylight. The female officer scribbled a note, then looked at Collins. You told her it's just a game. He rubbed his jaw. I told them all to cool the guilt, to keep play light. Guess that made it heavy. Hartley's phone buzzed again. He checked the screen and grimaced. A district office wants an incident report in the next hour. He looked at me. You'll need to write your statement, Miss Carter. What you heard, word for word. I will. And Collins, Hartley added quietly, turn in your keys for now. Collins didn't argue. He slid the ring from his belt and handed it over like a surrender flag. Alina's face crumpled. Wait, you're suspending him. Administrative leave, Hartley said, until we review. Maya stared at the keys. Her shoulders caved in just a little. It's my fault, she whispered. It's not, I said too quick. It is. She insisted. Jamie got hurt because I didn't stop, and Mr. Collins is in trouble because I wanted to be good at something. Her mouth wobbled. I'm sorry. Collins finally looked up. Hey, he said softly, you did what kids do. You played the game in front of you. That's on me. And me, I said, for hearing something and not asking questions first. The tall officer's radio crackled. A voice burst through. A nurse's office to admin. Urgent. Everyone froze. He pressed the button. Go ahead, a beat. Then the nurse herself, breathless. We need an ambulance. 7th grader. Dizzy pale, says he fell earlier in the week. Head at Jamie, I said, word leaving my mouth before she could. Static. Yes, Jamie, he fainted in band. The gym's stillness shattered. Hartley moved first, already dialing, already walking. The officers pivoted in unison toward the exit. Collins took one involuntary step after them, then stopped, empty clip on his belt suddenly loud in the silence. Maya swayed. Alina grabbed her. It's my fault, Maya breathed like a rich... We don't know that, I said, but the words felt flimsy against the siren building in my ears. Not an actual siren. Not yet. Just my blood predicting one. The female officer was halfway to the door, then paused and looked back at Maya. Go coming, she said, not a request. You two to Alina and me. Maya's mother had already risen from the first row of the bleachers where she'd sat without me noticing. Her face had gone the color of ash. We're coming, color of ash, we're coming, she said, voice shaking. But sure, we spilled into the hall. The paramedics swept in with a practiced calm that made everyone else look frantic. They asked questions in pairs, took vitals, nodded at the nurse's notes. One of them, a woman with a streak of silver in her hair, glanced up at Maya and gave a tiny nod that said, we see you, without choosing sides. They loaded Jamie onto a gurney. He squinted at the lights and mumbled something. His mom leaned in. What, baby? He swallowed. It was an accident, he said, small and stubborn. I told you. I know, she said, kissing his temple. Oh, I know. We're going to get you checked. As they wheeled him out, the father paused at the door, looked back at us, at Hartley, at Collins, at me, at Maya, and said, not loud, not soft. Fix this. The nurse's office exhaled when the sirens fell away down the block. The 7th graders trickled back to class, buzzing in low whispers. The nurse sank onto the stool for the first time and rubbed her eyes. Hartley looked 10 years older. We'll hold a staff meeting this afternoon, he said to me without energy. We need to come clean, set parameters, shut this down for now. The female officer finished a note and tucked her pearl away. We will file a report. No charges at this time. But her eyes flicked to Collins. Liability is a separate track. Collins nodded like he'd been expecting a sentence he could at least pronounce. Understood. Maya took a breath that shook on the way out. Can I do something? To help? She asked. It wasn't a child's question. It was a teammate's. A person who had just discovered how heavy being seen could be and was asking to carry some of it anyway. Start with telling the truth, I said softly. All of it. Her gaze skittered away. Another truth hovered on her mouth and hid. The female officer noticed it too. There's more, she asked, gentle, but the edges were there. Maya's fingers twisted. I didn't bring the rubber balls, she said quickly. Almost too quickly. We never used them. So who did? Hartley asked again. Then Alina blurted, I think, and stopped like she'd run into glass. Hartley's head tilted. You think? Alina swallowed. Don't be mad, she told Maya, but I saw Noah with the cage keys. Collins frowned. I keep them on me or in the office when I'm up. He had a set, Alina insisted. He said his cousin works facilities and made him one as a joke. He thought it was funny. I told him that's stealing, and he said it's not if he gives it back. And then she trailed off, choking on the look on Hartley's face. What did he do, Alina? The female officer asked. I brought the rubber ones out last week, she whispered. He said foam is for babies. A low curse slipped out of Hartley before he caught it. What's Noah's last name? Parker, Alina said. 8th grade. I didn't know whether to feel relief that it hadn't been Maya, or rage that it hadn't been Maya, or rage that it had been anyone. The word keys pressed on my brain. The way systems fail isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's a duplicate key and a kid who wants an edge. Collins looked like someone had swapped his blood with ice water. Ice water. If a student has a cut key, that's a separate issue we fixed today, Hartley said, a director snapping a slate. We recore the locks. We audit access. The tall officer nodded. We'll speak with Noah. The female officer's gaze drifted back to Maya. You didn't bring them out, but you played when they were out. Maya's face burned. Only once. I told Noah to put them back. He laughed at me. And then? The officer asked. Small with honesty, I wanted to shut it. Alina flinched like she'd been hit by that admission. You said you didn't. I know what I said, Maya replied, a flash of heat under the tears. I didn't bring them, but I didn't stop either. The female officer let the silence do the talking. Then she nodded. Thank you. Hartley's phone buzzed again. He checked it, swallowed, looked at me. A district rep is coming at 3. They want everyone involved present. He hesitated, then added, they also want statements from staff about the 911 call. I met his eyes. The old shame prickled again, but I kept my spine straight. You should, the female officer said, surprising me. You heard a phrase that demands action. You acted. The facts are different than we feared. It's good. But the instinct, keep it. Maya glanced at me like that absolved me of something in her mind. It didn't. Not fully. But it shifted the weight so it didn't crush me. The hallway bell screamed, loud and sudden. Classes change. The world keeps its schedule when your heart doesn't. The nurse winced, waved a hand toward the door. Please, I need quiet to chart. We filed into the hallway. For a second, we just stood there. Me, Hartley, Collins, the officers, Maya and her mother, Alina, a loose knot in the current of moving kids. Miss Carter, Alina said, voice low, urgent. If district shuts it down, Maya will. She'll fold in on herself. Can you? I don't know. Help! I thought of the crown wiped half clean. The thrill that had surged through this kid's veins when a circle of peers chanted her nickname. The ache that followed. We'll figure something out, I said. A safe something. And Jamie? Maya asked, barely audible. We'll check on him, I said. And you'll apologize again when it's time. Not to erase what happened. To own your part. She nodded, swallowing. Collins cleared his throat. And Miss Carter. I turned. His eyes were tired but steady. Oh, thank you, he said, for caring enough to call, and for staying when it got messy. A laugh that wasn't funny escaped me. I'm the reason it got messy. He shook his head. No, we were building the mess. You turned on the lights. Down the corridor, a walkie crackled on Hartley's hip. Front office to principal. There's a Mr. and Mrs. Parker here to see you. Hartley's mouth thinned. Noah's parents, I said. Around 2, Hartley sighed. The female officer touched a radio. Who'll sit in? We started toward the office. Noise swelled as classroom doors opened. Kids flowing like a river around rocks. Maya and Alina stuck to my side, their shoulders brushing mine on the turns like we were tethered. Halfway there, the intercom popped, and the secretary's voice came thin and metallic. Attention staff, the district representative has arrived. Please send students to second period and report to the auditorium at 3 for an all-hands meeting. Mr. Hartley, please come to the front office. Hartley shot me a look that said pray, then jogged ahead with the officers. Maya tugged my sleeve. If they ask me questions, she said, can I tell them what I told Elena about what hurts? I asked. She nodded. Yes, I said. Tell them everything. She opened her mouth to ask something else, then closed it. The choice felt heavy in the air between us. Tell all of it and risk more trouble, or tell the safer part and live with the unfinished itch under the skin. Her mother stepped in. We will, she said, voice stronger now that a path had formed. We reached the office. Through the glass we could see Noah, tall, smug, melting into nervous, flanked by two adults wearing expressions of defensive love. Hartley shook their hands. The officers introduced themselves. The air changed form again. As the door swung open, the secretary held up a hand to stop me, then peered around my shoulder. Miss Carter, the district rep asked to see you first, she said. Just you. And now? I asked. And now? Maya's fingers tightened on my sleeve. Oh, don't let them shut it forever, she whispered, a plea and an apology tangled into one. I'll try, I said, not promising what I couldn't, promising what I could, that I'd speak like someone who had learned something today. I stepped into the office. A woman in a navy blazer stood by the window, tablet in hand, hair pulled back in a precise knot. She turned when she heard me, assessing and warm at once, the kind of practiced warmth that can tilt either way. Miss Carter, she said, I'm Dana Vega, Student Safety and Programs. Before we begin, out in the hall, a fresh eruption of noise cut through. A boy's voice rose, cracked with panic. You didn't steal a key. Another voice, a woman's. You're not blaming my son for your mistakes. The district rep's gaze flicked past me to the glass, then back to my face. We're going to have a very frank conversation, she finished, and something in her tone told me this wasn't going to be about one lunch game, but about all the ways a school decides what it is. I opened my mouth to answer. The intercom clicked again. The nurse's voice tight. Update on Jamie. The is keeping him for observation. Possible concussion. Every head in the office tilted toward the speaker. The room's oxygen thinned. Dana Vega tapped her tablet off, set it aside, and folded her arms. All right, she said to me, voice level, eyes intent. Start at the beginning, and don't leave anything out. Dana Vega's eyes didn't move from mine. Start at the beginning, she said again, her tone sharper now that the nurse's update had landed. Word for word. I told her... The whisper, the phrase that wrapped itself around my throat. He says it's a game. But it hurt. How I acted before asking questions, how that led to police, the gym, the discovery of the rubber balls, the shifting truth, until it landed squarely in middle school mess instead of the nightmare I'd feared. Her pen scratched, but her eyes never broke from mine. When I finished, she leaned back, thinking. That phrase, she said, was enough to justify calling 911. You're not under review for that. But this... She gestured vaguely toward the hall. Is a systemic problem. No supervision protocols, no equipment checks, and her mouth tilted in a humorless half-smile. Apparently, a student locksmith. Through the glass, Noah's voice rose again. His parents' shoulders were tense, arms crossed in sync. Hartley stood between them and the officers like a referee waiting for the bell. Dana pushed up from her chair. We'll talk. More after I hear from the others. For now. Stay. Listen. The office door opened to let Noah's family in. His mom's voice cracked like a whip. My son is not responsible for your janitor's poor oversight. Hartley kept his tone even. Mrs. Parker, the key, where you found it, Noah cut in, on the floor, near the gym. I just wanted to look inside. You told Elena your cousin made it, Hartley said. Noah's eyes darted. She lies all the time. Elena, hovering in the doorway with Maya, stiffened. I don't. Dana raised a hand, cutting the air like a knife. Enough. This isn't about what you told each other in hallways. We'll get the facts. Right now, the only confirmed harm is to Jamie. Her gaze moved between Maya and Noah. And both of you were there when it happened. I didn't throw it, Noah said quickly. Dana's eyes pinned him. But you brought out band equipment. His silence was answering. The door behind the counter opened, and the female officer stepped in, a phone in hand. Update from the hospital, she said. Jamie's CT is clear. No bleed. Mild concussion. He'll be fine with rest. The tension in the room shifted, relief flooding in, but not enough to wash away the rest. Maya exhaled, the sound ragged. Can I call him? Later, Dana considered her. That depends on what his parents want. But yes, an apology will be necessary. I already. Maya started, then stopped. I'll do it again. Dana moved the conversation forward like she was steering a ship through ice. Here was the new plan. The gauntlet suspended indefinitely. Locks changed today. District-supervised lunchtime activities implemented next week. A written apology from both Maya and Noah to Jamie and his family. A review of all unsanctioned games on campus. Hartley nodded grimly. We can do all that. Noah muttered. This is stupid. Dana's tone cut the word in half. This is accountability. By the time the officers left, the Parkers had signed a statement, Hartley had scheduled a parent meeting, and Collins had agreed to stay on leave until the district review concluded. He caught my eye as he left. No resentment, just a tired kind of gratitude. I'll be back, he said. Better rules next time. I'll hold you to that, I said. The building felt different when the final bell rang, not louder, not quieter, just steadier. Students spilled out in streams, backpacks bouncing, voices echoing. Maya lingered by my classroom door. They're going to hate me, she said. Some might, I said honestly, but most will forget in a week. You're the one who has to decide what you remember. She frowned. I want to remember. Good part. Yes, I said without hesitation. A week later, Jamie returned to school, a little pale but smiling. I found Maya in the library during lunch, clutching a folded note. I wrote it, she said. Jamie read it right there. When he looked up, his smile was small but real. You've got a good arm, he said. Just maybe use it on a baseball team instead. Maya laughed, the sound lighter than I'd ever heard it. By spring, the old gauntlet chalk had faded. In its place, the gym hosted a rotation of supervised games. Silly, fast, safe. Maya ran a trivia station by the bleachers some days, set up relay races others. She wasn't a hit queen anymore, but she was still a leader. Sometimes I'd catch her looking over at Jamie, who'd joined the relay team, and see her grin. Not the grin of someone who needed a crown. The grin of someone who'd learned she didn't need one. The phrase still echoes for me sometimes. He says it's a game. It hurts. Now I know. It doesn't always mean the worst. But it always means listen. And it always means act.